Hello students, myself Mrs. Mamta Yadav and today I am going to teach you a sixth chapter of history, that is trade, towns and crafts. In this chapter students, we will study how during the medieval period many trade developments took place, many new towns grew and the artists and the craft persons they got very good chance to show their skill to the world. So let's start the chapter.
Trade towns and crafts. Students, the period between 12th and 18th century was a phase of unprecedented prosperity and growth in trade and craft. Unprecedented prosperity means sudden growth was seen in the field of trade and craft during the medieval period. The growth of town in various parts of the country was also another notable feature of this period. Now the question arises, why development took place? These developments were outcome of the political and the economic policies followed by the rulers in Delhi and regional centers. These towns grew into trading and industrial center, which in turn led to the general prosperity. Rulers like Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan supported trading activities and removed obstacles to the movement of goods and people. Increasing foreign trade led to the development of markets, hassle-free trade and commerce, and the growth of city population. The production of handicraft increased in order to keep up with their demand abroad. Various foreign travelers during that period they visited India. Even Bidutta was one of them who visited India during the Sultanate period, and he has given in his account or describes the flourishing market of the big cities in the Gangetic Plains, Malwa, Gujarat and the southern India. Next topic in our chapter is types of towns. Towns could be categorized into temple towns, commercial towns, port towns or the administrative centers. Most towns combine several functions, that is they were administrative centers, temple towns as well as centers of commercial activity and craft production. First, we will study about capital towns or the administrative centers. Due to their strategic location, a number of capital towns developed throughout the Indian subcontinent. They were also referred to as capital towns or the cities or court towns. Capital towns were the main seat for the administrative machinery. These towns were surrounded by well-defended forts comprising open areas for military practices, sarais and cultural hubs. Existence of capital cities to a great extent dependent on the royal patronage. Delhi, Agra, Kannauj, Tanjore, Vijayanagar and Devagiri were among the prominent capital towns of this period. Next is temple towns and pilgrimage centers. Temple towns were centers around large temples, that is activities of the people. Temple shaped the economy and society of the town. A variety of people congregated around temples to participate in trade, agriculture, banking and craft production, which were organized and promoted by the temples. Important temple towns of medieval period was Tirupati, Somnath, Madurai, Ajmer, Banaras, Mathura and Nasik. Next we have trade towns or centers of trade and commerce. The growth of trade and commerce proved to be a major driving force for the emergence of urban centers in medieval period. Trade relations existed between India as well as with the external world. Indian merchants extend surplus goods such as spices, tea, silk, textile, semi-precious stones and other merchandise that were in a great demand in other countries and within the various regions of India. Market called Haat or the large retail markets called Mandis existed in the towns and large villages, and certain towns like Banaras, Kanchipuram and Polycate become important textile and craft centers. Next is port towns. Long coastlines of the country and its extensive trade with the outside world encouraged the rise of many port towns. The main port towns were Bombay, Supara, Bharuch, Surat and Goa were located on the western coast, while the Tamrapali and Masulipatam were important ports on the eastern coast. These ports facilitated India's trade with Africa, West Asia, Europe and South Asia. There were some founded towns also in the medieval period. In 16th century, Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah founded the city of Hyderabad. Akbar founded Fatehpur Sikri to make his victory after conquering the of Gujarat. An expansion of Mughal authority and sovereignty, the city of Shahjahanabad was founded. It comprises the Jama Masjid, Red Fort, wide roads, bazaars, as well as administrative centers of Mughal dynasty. Students, in this chapter, we have to study about three important cities of medieval period. The first is Hampi. Hampi was located on the bank of river Tungabhadra in northern Karnataka. The name Hampi is an anglistic version of Kannada word Hampi derived from Pampa, the ancient name of river Tungabhadra. Hampi stands among the ruins of Vijayanagar, the former capital of Vijayanagar Empire, the northern Karnataka. It is also referred as the Viruprakashapura after the name of the patron deity of Vijayanagar rulers, that is Viruprakash. The empire was founded by Telugu princesses Harihara and Bukka in 1336 CE. It reached the height of its glory under Krishnadevaraya. Hampi was chosen as the capital due to its strategic location, bound by river Tungabhadra on one side and defensive hills on the other sides. Foreign travelers like Niccolo Conti from Italy, Abdul Razak from Persia, and Domingo Peace from Portugal visited Vijayanagar and described the city as well fortified with a distinctive architecture. The buildings have splendid arched domes and pillared walls, well-planned orchards, and pleasure gardens, and with sculptures motifs such as lotus were also built in Hampi. The account of Domingo Peace, who visited the court of Krishnadevaraya, is particularly unique as it provides a vivid account of the Vijayanagar Empire. Next important city of medieval period is Masulipattnam. Masulipattnam, or also known as the Machilipatnam, is a city on the Coromandel coast of Andhra Pradesh in India. The city derives its name from the gateway to the town decorated with the eyes of a fish, machli. It was founded in the 14th century by Arab traders who found their way from the Red Sea to southern India. The town became a center of international trade and commerce for the Dutch, the English, and the French. The Dutch had established a factory at the Masulipattnam after receiving a farman from the Qutub Shahi rulers. The English East India Company had set up its first trading post here in 1611 Common Era. However, during the Carnatic Wars, they lost the port city temporarily to the French. The British conquered it again along with the northern Sarkars in 1759 Common Era. In the beginning, Masulipattnam traded with countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia. The establishment of a sea link with the Arab countries led to the expansion of the trade, which proved advantageous for the port town. Masulipattnam evolved as a center where weaving and dyeing industries flourished. The articles of trade comprised chains, muslin, and diamonds. Under the Mughals, Masulipattnam handled a lot of trade among different regions of India, that is, tobacco and dyed cotton textiles were transported from Masulipattnam to Bengal, and large amount of indigos were transported from Bengal to Masulipattnam. Next big city is Surat. Surat, now one of the biggest cities of western India, is located on the banks of the river Tapti in present-day Gujarat. During the medieval period, it grew to acquire the status of a major port city and trading center. It was also seen as a gateway to the west, as traders used this port to conduct trade with West Asia. It has a fertile land which provided food and other resources as well as a wealthy banking community. In 1514 Common Era, a Portuguese traveller, Dorito Barbosa, described it as an important seaport. During the Mughals' rule, Surat became the main commercial city of India. The town was a major center of export for textile, indigo, and other articles. Goods and merchandise were transported from Surat to various parts of the Mughal Empire. Raw cotton grown in the region around Surat were transported to Bengal. By the end of 16th century, Surat was under the Portuguese control. Later, the English East India Company made it a trade transit point, and in 1612, the British destroyed Portuguese naval supremacy and obtained the imperial Farman from Jahangir to establish a British trading port and factory at Surat. However, Surat began to decline towards the end of the 17th century when the Maratha leader Shivaji resacked it in 1664 Common Era. The Mughals lost control over its market and productivity. Saying or sensing the weakness of Mughal power, the English shifted their headquarters to Cambay. Surat was finally taken over by the British in 1759. Students, the last part of the chapter deals with the crafts and technology and internal and external trade. The different types of craft practiced in Indian subcontinent are well known for their aesthetic, functional and monetary values. The artistic weavers, painters, masons, stone cutters, carpenters, perfume makers, etc. played a pivotal role in popularizing Indian craft in India and all across the world. Jewelry, carpets, furniture, perfumes, home furnishings, sculptures, and handmade crafts were greatly in demand. The members of the royal family wore clothes of silk, muslin, brocade, along with the pearls and gold jewelry, and used musk as well. The luxurious lifestyle of the upper class and nobles in the society led to an increased demand of craft products. Cotton was the most important among all the fabrics used in this period. Akbar encouraged the production of silk, and Bengal became the thriving center for the production of cotton and raw silk. Both the imperial workshops or karkhanas and the villages were engaged in the production of handicrafts. Craft persons and the traders resided in and around the areas of export like the coast trade centers and in the European factory towns like Madras and Calcutta. Next is internal and external trade. Accounts of foreign travelers shed ample light on the self-sufficiency of the villages, towns and cities. Major articles of the international trade were wheat, rice, sugar, textile and spices. Sea and land routes were used to conduct trade. Superior quality rice and sugar from Kannauj, wheat from Punjab, sugarcane and textile from the Bengal found their way to the markets of Delhi. Trade relations with Africa, Europe, Indonesia, China, Persia, and Burma existed during this period. Articles like rice, spices, and sugarcanes were exported to Southeast Asian countries, while horses, luxury products, and metals were imported from Persia. Indian textiles were also in the great demand abroad. Due to the process of urbanization and economic growth, India's foreign trade with the European and the Asian market increased considerably during medieval period. So students, this is all about this chapter. I hope you all have understood.